I've already said most of the stuff I've probably said in this video, in my previous videos, but if I'm not constantly trying, and it's from kind of refining, like Nietzsche kind of ends up very refined, I just suffer, so still the bears, yes, to the bears, and in the meantime, in between good lordship, we'll have good lordship, and we'll drink in celebrations and not drink in suffering. Chinkoye and attention, please. A punk is like a full stop because the Irish couldn't read Latin without it being separated and broken up. So punk, that's where punk comes from, being a punk. It's Irish and kind of stupid. We said it to them in different ways, you know what I mean, to try and make them clever. Like the first guy was the St. Patrick before Patrick, and he was a nerd, and they told him to go home, and they completely rejected him. And then I saw something with Neil Delamere, and he's like, Patrick was a bit of a cowboy, a bit of a ladies' man. St. Patrick, as you know, and got in with all the women, and then all the lads wanted to find out what was so deadly about him. So yeah, you have to trick him into doing things. The Irish village, typical Irish village, consists of a post office, public house, alcohol is available. You might have a Garda station, you might have a courthouse. You'll have a church, you'll definitely have a church, you'll have, and a shoppa. You'll have shoppa P.U.N.K, you'll have the church, you'll have the post office. These simple basic elements are an Irish village, and maybe villages around the world, but specifically it needs to be spelled out explicitly to the Irish. These are things you do in a church. These are things you do in a shoppa, commerce. You don't do commerce in the temple, okay? You don't make agreements in the temple. You use the post office for communicating with everybody. You do not use the temple for communicating. It's not for communication. And use this, the police station, maybe. You bring all your gossip and your crime and all your confessions, maybe, to this place and the courthouse, and they deal with them. You do not deal with gossips, and you have gossips in the temple. You don't do this. If you did any of these things, you get gas chambers. That's what gas chambers are. I know it's a bit extreme. I know it sounds extreme, but you wouldn't think twice if you knew. So yeah, what you do in a church is you go get gospels. Yeah, dispel gossip with gospels, and this is a place where you're very, your confessions are safe here because good Lord knows, and so you can celebrate confessing in this building. You don't need to confess or feel like God already knows. It's a weird way they make people do it. It's very functionalistic, and the church doesn't understand it, or they do, and they're exploiting it in some weird gypsy manner. I'm going to revise all this as I like in Protestant. I don't like, I'm not a Protestant or a Catholic. I'm just a Christian. I'm born Catholic, raised Catholic, but there's no such thing as to divide. I don't divide the bread. I'm just a Christian. And churches do need to reform. It's healthy and advisable that they reform. So, and we do live in a kind of Protestant-y, Christian-y, everyone go at once. So I don't even know why they make the distinction anymore between Protestants and Christians. I was supposed to save Ireland with this mentality. I don't like our flag at all. It's green, white and gold. One side's Protestant, one side's Catholic, and it's supposed to be peace between them. And it's like, don't even mention it then. Why did you even bring it up? You know what I mean? It's not our bread to break. I was supposed to really save Ireland, and I was supposed to do great things for this country, but they all treated me and gypsied me, and now I don't really want to help them anymore. So yeah, you get the gospels, and we must love the gospel truth that saves your balls. Yes, because you all had terrible birth defects and stillborn or even infertility. You had horrible, horrible things in the world until you got this oblation, this soup, this saving grace, this little magical thing that if you know the truth about this occasion, that's just that the Lord can work with you. It's very easy for the Lord to work with you when you know the truth about Him, That's why they put him on the crucifix the first thing you see when you walk in, because they want you to. It's a good place to start. Oh, you've had a bad time there, buddy. And that's probably a very good and humble place to start. Like, oh, that looks sore. So it's a little humbling anyway for you to. Yeah, it's weird. It's debatable Christian imagery. I like it. Because it didn't kill him. It's his testament to his greatness. Like, he was destroyed. They destroyed him, and he didn't die. What more proof do you want? And they made it very public and finalised, and it's supposed to end a lot of stuff, in the world, and there's still a lot of that stuff going on. It's supposed to be the end of it. People even replicate it, and then still do things like crucify things. But they die, so it's not impressive, is it? It's just stupid snuff and really horrible fucking. Alright, it's not a nice event. The crucifixion is a terrible, stupid gypsy event. It's not a good thing. It's a very stupid, horrible thing. But anyway, yeah. So, Mr. Adolf Hitler, or these people probably had this magnifying glass that they looked through. And they could look at you with this very analytic magnifying glass that they had. And they looked at lots and lots of people. And lots of people had in their names. This might not be as bad as it sounds. Had things like commerce in the temple in their name. Idle gossips in the temple. Eliciting confessions from the temple. They might have had lots of things show up in this kind of this analyzer glass that the Germans probably, and this is a poetry, but you must understand they had these kind of things. Yeah, you do. Anyway, so basically anyone that had these things, and this again, as simple as this manner could be, that in Schindler's List you see a couple of guys there. I've said this before once or twice actually because I like the story. I was like, hey Bertie, how's it going, man? How's the missus, Bertie? Don't talk to me about the missus. And they're in the temple. They're poetically in a synagogue or in a church of some sort, poetically and visually for your film convenience. They're in a temple, and it's like, oh, don't talk to me. It's like, oh, I got those binders for your kid if we were going to get your thesis wrapped up. It's like, oh, great, bring them over on Tuesday. Commerce in the temple. They're making arrangements in the temple. They're even communicating in the temple. So they would come up under a very stern analyzer test that the Germans might have had, and millions of people were probably considered gypsies that were abusing the temple, and the Holy Roman Empire was going to kill all the gypsies that were harming the temple. And they probably weren't, but then again, there are people that are. There's really horrible, profane, messed up, dirtiest and filthiest stuff going on in the temple, in the church, boys. The horrible Irish add-on for like a McDonald's curry sauce or something, and it's like so typical. I warned you, Ireland, and they're doing some gypsy ritual in a church, and then like the cleaning lady comes in and she's like, "Oh Jesus, Margaret, I told you we had the hall from 9 o'clock," and they all get busted doing some creepy fucking ritual with saucy rituals. Yeah, that's happened probably somewhere in the country. That's why they're just trying making a joke about it. It's really annoying me. Things are doing, even figuratively in the churches maybe. And you say, yeah, fucking. So this is when gas chambers become a part of the town. Yes. But like I said, you mightn't think you're doing a bad thing. Commerce in the temple, communication in the temple. Might think you're all psychic and deadly, and but you are just completely and utter sodomites in the temple. So Jesus got you out of the temple. That's what Jesus did. Like, what would Jesus do? He, as far as I understand the poetry, he whipped the thing around his head like you see Obi-Wan Kenobi doing, and it was kind of like King David-y. And he just walked, like charged at the bastards, and they all just ran away before he'd even got there. Chased all the temple out of the temple and got rid of their tables in the temple. They didn't have tables in the temple. They didn't have like an office, this kind of thing. There are office in the temple. I have one of these. I have a table. I'm probably a bit stolen. I don't mean to talk about it. It's probably a very sensitive thing. I'm sure I have a table. Oh, he toppled all the tables. And this is great. This is why Jesus is such a hero and legend. And he didn't make friends out of doing this. He made very, very many powerful enemies, and he wasn't afraid. Wasn't afraid at all. They got the better of him. Pontius Pilate was even like, "What's wrong with Jesus? He's very lovely, intelligent, very good, respectful family. It's very difficult to bring a thing against this young kind of posh boy. Somewhat posh, bit of a posh boy." Yeah, etcha homo. That's what he said. What are you on about? Here's this man. You brought this man before me. And these are all crazy. You just want to put him in the psychiatric unit and say, like, he's corrupting your heads, he's messing with their heads. And put all you psycho gypsies in the fucking psychiatric unit. It's like, why do you want to murder this guy? He's a nice young man. Why do you murder nice young people and psychologically evaluate all them instead? I got psychologically evaluated and torn apart. And I was like, why didn't you psychologically evaluate the people murdering me? Murdered me twice, you know? Maybe they need to be, like, you know, considered, you know, a threat to your society. If they, like, picking up university kids off the streets, abducting them in Garda uniform and trying to cut them open like a fucking... Anyway, I think it's because I need my good Lord, Jesus Christ. And I think Jesus Christ might have not known his own Lord. He might have been Elijah. Yeah, Elijah. And I think he didn't know that. Most awesome conspiracy ever. Moses, Elijah, and Jesus up on the mount. That is pretty fucking... Excuse me, I was swearing. That's pretty awesome. Hero, yeah. Yeah. And then, they're about to come in together. On this occasion. It's pretty fun. Yeah, he didn't know the name of his Lord. Elijah didn't know. He obviously would, like, love his Lord if he knew his Lord, but he probably didn't know his true lordship. And he went into a horrible time of Ahab and Jezebel. And that's the only reason I can understand why he got crucified, but as to why he even broke and said, why hast thou forsaken me? I was like, oh no, I haven't. No, he just didn't know his Lord. And they tried to tear me apart. It was fucking pretty scary. It didn't happen at all. I wasn't harmed at all. Actually. Everything became my flesh for a little moment or two. And yeah, I wasn't harmed. What's the name of good Lord? Jesus, yes, delivers. Probably, you know, he wasn't a Lord, became Lord, I think, because he saved the Lord. He saved the temple and became Lord, and like Michael saved Vito, earned this opportunity to be a Lord, Lordship. Yes. So yes, the typical Irish village. I've definitely said this before. John Lennon said that he was talking about his philosophy buddy from school, and he was talking about God and stuff, and he's like, genealogy, like, you know, historical genealogy of God. He kind of gave him a very, you know, a very cold and scientific answer. That when people are suffering, they kind of, per se, like, cry up to something in heaven or cry up to something. This is a kind of psychological genealogy of a concept of God. So, like, if God was a concept, he says it's a measure of your pain, how much you pray, and if you don't, but it's you know, if you're not suffering, you're not crying. But if you're, like, you know, if you're very happy and comfortable and you live on an island and you're very cozy and you're like, God is good or something like this, that's another genealogy of where God comes over, like smoking a joint and watching David Attenborough. I was like, whoa, bro, it's all like connected. Like, that's a kind of another way of genealogy, of psychological conceptuality of high and holier intelligence. Alcohol is the constant or concept used to measure your pain. Yes. Drinking again. Why did I want to say that? I can't remember. Can't wait to drink with Islam. They won't drink, they still won't drink, but I might try and invent some like really nice clean gluten beer and like freely like give loads of it to Islam. In the days where we can celebrate, where I get the jihad and the hijab over, or the hijab over. It's by virtue of my awesome holy understanding. Excuse me. Yeah, drinking with some of the bros. They deserve a drink. The Christians drinking beer, like in a terrible, not observing Ramadan even, and all the fucking Muslims in the world keeping you afloat. Beer's on me, boys, in the future. They don't need alcohol. The Islamic community. they get drunk themselves. Their waters in their blood turn to sugars or something, and the water turns to wine. And they get a little drunk and giddy and happy, like you would from steadily drinking. But you don't crash your car and stuff, because, like, you know, you got high in holy graces. So you don't crash your car and you feel like you're drunk. So you can go drunk driving if you're a Muslim, a good Muslim, you know, a good Muslim, Islam, an authentic Islamic jihad. They're in jihad, you know, but again, I'll stop this jihad. Don't protest your government, Iran, or your theocracy. Protest the world that they're not listening to me. Because I'll put an end to it. I can figure it out. I have the understanding. So I can stop. So don't protest your government who are actually trying to protect you and shepherd you and not conceal you, but, you know, protect you, the integrity of your identities and such forth. Important people. Welcome to attendance, Jesus Christ. Yeah, protest the world, protest like the PPC, protest everyone, Jimmy Carr, protest anyone with a microphone. I need a posh boy. That's what I need. I need a posh boy. I need a posh boy. One that won't be tempted by my massive holy fortune that I'm very due. In recognition, it's just because I can achieve more goodness, and the Lord said He deserves this massive amount because I know how to make goodness. So if you all copied me and did what was good for goodness sake, you know, this it became cliche in the Christmas Carol, and it's Christmas, so it's relative. Good for goodness sake. It's turned cliche. You just don't think about it enough, analytically enough. Be good for the sake of goodness, or not yourself or some other thing or something. And goodness is good for all. So if everybody was being good for goodness sake, it'd be fucking good. Good day. Yeah. Good for the sake of being good. So then when you do get the holy fortune, the kind of thing, from doing this little thing, you'll only do goodness with it, won't you? You won't buy a Lamborghini. You'll buy 10 reasonable Polo Volkswagens for upcoming medicine students that need them, instead of one Lamborghini that I'll never use and just sitting around. You know, that's why I win. Actually, I have a why I win. I forget. I was thinking about in the cancer video that I made and explained about tumours, and that tumours are greedy and destroy themselves in their greed. Basically, they're not considering the higher, greater body they're harming. What was it? I don't know, maybe it wasn't in direct relation to that. I win. Why is it I win? It's either I win or you lose. That's what it is. Yeah, I got my rosary, so I'm very confident in my rosary. Or I don't really care really. It's just, you know, goodness sake. So when you destroy yourself or destroy me and destroy yourself, and you wake up on the shores of Babylon off in your boats, and it's a horrible world infested with famine, plague, death, disease, and you're all infertile and nobody can have children, and the death horses upon you. And you're like, oh, but Babylon was so cozy and lovely, and yes, you'd be in your boots on the shores. What is it? It's 11. Oh, it's 11. Beer guzzling joker. Sour grapes. It's either I win or you lose. No, I win or you lose, yeah. They're your two options. I win or you lose. And if I win, then in a perfect world, you know, there would be diseases or war or famine or pestilence or plague, and be free to trade and exchange, and there'd be no AIDS. And I don't know what that means actually, but I think that's the thing. Yes, perfection basically. If I win, or if you lose, then yes, all of you will die. But I think it's like, I don't really believe this, but they said it. There's the only one who saved himself on the earth, or the only one at the moment who has saved himself on the earth. I don't entirely believe that. Much nicer people in the world than me, you know. I can be an asshole, you know. So, the ability to be an asshole comes with intelligence, and I'm a pretty intelligent person, so I have the ability to be an asshole. And I realize this at a youthful age, like, don't be an asshole with your intelligence. Don't be a fool. Be a fool fighter. Yeah, that's just a silly road. I even had like a really, really good, I'm not going to tell it to you, justification for theft. But no, it was wrong. Ultimately, I got smarter afterwards, and I learned a great thing from this. But yeah, intelligence. My friend was saying that like countries that are like poverty-stricken and terrible are all stupid. And I was like, I wouldn't say so. I was like, probably from their intelligence more so. If everybody's really intelligent, you know. It's a little Irish down. It's hard to teach you the Irish. Punk full stop.